should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. I've been thinking about the future, trying to forget about the past. So many ways that I could change for the better. Don't
This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. Let me shout y'all out. Hey Indie Girl, Bad Girl, Sarah, Trixie, Zio. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate that. You guys are so awesome to be here with me every day. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Really quickly, tomorrow I won't be live, but I'm going to set an instant premiere for, so I had the first file, reading the first, I think 101 pages of the Stephen Stearns murder indictment. They kicked it back twice, so I'm going to release that and the second part of that. I think I get through page 300 and something. Those will both premiere tomorrow, and I will have chapters at least in the second one. I don't know if I'll be able to get through the first one as fast as I did with the second one today. So those will premiere at the normal time that we are live tomorrow. We're going to finish our deep dive on Alieen, and I think it worked out perfectly because today's the last day I will be able to be live. We're going to grab this. This is from Absolute Crime. I will have to play some music in the background. It is titled My Interviews with the Serial Murderer, or Killer, I should say, Alieen Wuronos, Life and Death of a Serial Killer, Absolute Crime. Please give them a like and subscribe. Let me turn on some music and put my banner up, and hopefully we will be fine. If I disappear all of a sudden, I will be right back and we'll watch something else as far as Alieen goes. I turned my music down. Alrighty. Okay, we're going to start 18 minutes in because this is where I saw that he first gets to the prison. Yeah, because it's covering the trial and all of that we've already talked about. So he's arriving at the prison now to talk to her. So we'll start here. Hey, Indie Girl.
I got a message that Alieen...
Indie Girl, just in case I didn't say hey to you. Hey, I wanted to make sure I did that. I think I did, but I'm not sure. Hey, Abellis. Hey, Abellis. Thank you for being here.
wanted me to meet her at the local jail. We checked the film outtakes and made the great legal discovery that
Hey, Jenny Jen. Thank you for being here.
Steve had in fact exchanged his pongy blue t-shirt for a clean white one.
My goodness.
I'm sorry it's so loud. Those doors and stuff in there are so loud. Hold on.
How are you?
Get it out of there, Nick. It's right.
I'm just trying to. Sorry.
Sure.
Give us a microphone, which is sorry about that.
Oh, lady.
All right.
Okay.
She seems sweet here. You know, I know her mental state wasn't that great. Hey, Sally Carson. Thank you so much for being here. She seems okay here. She's laughing, carrying on. She seems good in the mental state from what I've seen so far.
I can't believe this microphone, how small it is. You know, it actually works.
It actually was.
Okay, Nick, this interview, man. I just let me do this thing over one more time because I know you guys pre-tape and you clip and stuff.
Right.
So let me say it one more time, kind of right, okay? Because I'm really concerned about the family members. I gotta get my hair out of my face while I'm doing this.
She flipped like that because her hands are cuffed. We're gonna where's my phone? Zio sent me the first interview with her after prison. I'm gonna try to grab that real quick. I think it's on Facebook though. I don't know if I have a Facebook account, but I'm gonna try to see if I can pull that up while we watch part of this one. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can find it also on YouTube, but we'll continue with this for right this second.
Because I'm really concerned about the family members. So I want to say this again, over. Nick, the reason I'm coming forth with you with this interview is because I like to come clean about my cases, and because there's only about a 1% chance that a person can get off death row. And I come to realize that that is actually true.
So this is going to be right before death row. Like I said, I'm trying to pull up the one that was right after she got her sentence. I don't know if we can, but we saw this yesterday. And I mean, again, just look at her. I'm concerned about her mental state now that she's spoken more. I know she wasn't in exactly the right state of mind towards the end.
Very, very true. There's only like about 82 people that got off death row in like 30 years out of like about 4,000 or 5,000 death row inmates. And those are only DNA people, blood sample. So the chances of getting off death row are 1%, 99.9% you're going to be on it and you're going to die. Okay, I cannot go in the execution chamber and die in the execution chamber as a liar. And I cannot go in the execution chamber.
I wonder if she thought by doing this that she would get off of death row
and be executed under the devil. I have to come clean and cleanse my spirit in the name of Jesus Christ. So I have to come clean and tell the world the lies that went on through my mouth. I mean, now prosecutors and cops.
And that you killed 7 men.
Huh?
That you killed those men in cold blood.
Yeah, and I got to come clean that I killed those 7 men in first-degree murder and robbery. As they said, they had it right. A serial killer. Not so much like thrill kill. I was into the robbing biz. I mean, you know, serial killers are in this thrill killing jazz. I was into the robbing, just and eliminate a witness.
Okay, so we heard that first part yesterday. I was able to log into Facebook and pull up this Dateline interview. So let me pull that up real quick since, you know, we saw that yesterday. And I've got the new one, or not the new one, but the one from right after she was put on death row. Hold on just a minute. Oh my goodness, my kids are having a time outside. Sounds like I have the window open. Okay, let me see what I can do. I don't want the music anyway. So, I think this is as big.
A new chapter in serial killers. You've heard of.
I think that's as big as it's going to get. Let me make sure that my music is still playing because this is Dateline. And again, if I go away or if I disappear for a minute, I will be right back.
Heard of Ted Bundy, son of Sam, Jeffrey Dahmer. Now some authorities say this woman is America's first female serial killer.
Did you say to yourself, I'm out of control, I'm killing people? No.
Her victims, 7 men, each shot to death. She claims self-defense.
Am I supposed to die because I'm a prostitute? No, I don't think so.
What set her?
So this again is Dateline, and it's titled Alieen Wuronos, her first death row interview from August 1992. It did show the victims. Please say a prayer for their families if you don't mind, and for Eileen's as well. Hey, Rubber Ramada. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Gammy. Thank you for being here. Thank you, guys.
Her off. Tonight, Michelle Gillen with Alieen Wuronos.
I've got a message for the families. Okay, here's a message for the families. You owe me.
What made her programmed to kill?
So we had just reviewed or started to review again the interview where she's, quote, coming clean. I'm thinking that maybe this interview is why she felt like she needed to come clean to the families before she was sentenced to death. So maybe she is in her right state of mind, because I'm sure we're all aware that not all the families owe Alieen Wuronos an apology, obviously. While I personally believe the first one was self-defense, we know that some weren't. And the fact that she states that everybody owes her an apology, I think later in life she felt bad about that.
Then Michelle continues the story. The police hunt. They caught Alieen Wuronos by using her love hunt.
She was very caring. She cared a lot about me. I cared a lot about her.
She got Wuronos to confess, testified against her in court. Even so,
I still love her. I always will love her.
Tonight.
And that's a hard thing to deal with unless you've been in a situation like that. Okay, I thought somebody else was in here. Because, you always will care for somebody that you really, truly loved. I hate that they used her love against her, but, it's a normal police tactic.
I will hear the confessions of a serial killer. Again, we'll have more on Hurricane Andrew later in the hour. But now a story of unnatural violence. The case and confessions of a female serial killer. Over the last few decades, America has seen a steady stream of serial killers, murderers who strike again and again without apparent motive. Often.
So, going down this rabbit hole, this was August 1992. Things are, there's video games out, there's TVs in most houses. Do we think that it's a correlation between that there was more homicides and things like that during this time period, and it's grown over the years? Or do we think that it just has to do with the fact that it was easier to put on the news and more people saw these things, and police tactics, you could get, stuff going on in India all around the world in a few minutes during this time period, not like you can now, but I'm wondering what you think. Do you think it was because of that, because it was so easy to share the news, that that homicide ratings were higher during this time period and are even higher now? Or do you think that it had to do with like video games and TVs and things like that? Do you think it was people just got meaner and more hateful?
As in recent cases in Seattle and Los Angeles, their victims are prostitutes. In our story tonight, the roles are reversed. Stone?
Alieen Wuronos is a self-described prostitute who admits killing a number of middle-aged men, most of them married. Despite the brutality of her crimes, her case has received little national attention. Watch Michelle Gillen's two-part report, and you may never forget Alieen Wuronos. And we should tell you going in, some of her descriptions are quite graphic.
So there's our trigger warning for this episode. It's titled Programmed to Kill, and that goes back to the questions I've been asking from the beginning. Do you think it was nurture or nature? Bad Girl said, I don't think Ty loved Lee the same way. Ty used her and played on her insecurities, in my opinion. Okay, I agree. Serial killings or murders just in general. Well, tell me about both. Like, do you think it had a correlation to video games and watching TV? Or do you think it had a correlation with, now that there was TVs in every home, it was easier to spread the news further than like in a time period of like Ed Gaines, 40s and 50s, where it would be printed in the press, in the newspaper, and maybe people in the general area would know about it until several weeks or however long later, when it could travel to other newspaper outlets and be printed in the press that way. That's kind of what I mean. Thank you, Jenny. Nice to see you home. And thank you for being here, Need Some Z's. Abella said, I think there's less respect for human life. Also, we live in a more crowded world. Okay, definitely. I can agree with that.
Across Central Florida, amid the traffic of tourists making their way to Disney World, a hitchhiking prostitute named Alieen Wuronos spent her days and nights selling sex to men.
I was going out with a whole lot of men.
I hate the way they do that, because during this time period, to be called that and to be said that you were selling sex was just already a disgrace, and people look down on you for that already. And that's how they describe her in everything. I mean, I know it's the description, but dang.
I was going out with hundreds, maybe thousands.
For 7 of those men, the ride with Alieen Wuronos was fatal. After she propositioned them and in some cases had sex with them, she shot and killed them.
You look at women as being frail. This woman's not frail. This is probably the meanest woman I ever met in my life.
And again, that goes back to the time period. Women are frail, and we know now women are not. Bad Girl said, I think parents stop parenting their children. That's one of the little ones. Hold on, let me close the window. Bad Girl said, I think parents stop parenting their children. No respect for anything anymore. To be clear, that is my neighbor's daughter. She's very little and she's very loud. So she is fine. They're outside playing, all the kids. Trixie said, I think it's a combination of our morals in society has gone downhill and there is more media coverage. Yes, I think so too. I think there's a correlation between both. The morals and the media coverage is now more easily and readily available. So it makes it seem like, you know, it's easier to get the news out. Making it sound gross is so different today. Right, talking about the way they were calling her a prostitute and things. I agree. I mean, you even just heard the officer talking about how women were frail and she was not. And we know, you know, women are not frail by any means.
The FBI calls her the first female serial killer, comparing her to men who have killed stranger after stranger again and again over months or years. But Wuronos is a woman, and she says she killed to protect herself. You say you are not a serial killer.
I'm not a serial killer and I'm not a murderer. I know that when I die, I'm going to heaven and I'm going to have Jesus right beside me. And I'm going to have them on Judgment Day in front of me, and they're going to pay for their wrongdoing. I am innocent. It was self-defense.
The legal system didn't believe you.
I do not regret it. Do not regret it. They were going to kill me. I killed them. That is a normal thing to do. It's a human thing. I did the right.
So we can see her getting angry. And again, I mean, I do feel like they slaughtered her. Lord, my brain goes blank sometimes. Metaphorically, thank you, brain, in court. But I don't think all of them were self-defense by any means. Sally Carson said media is a double-edged sword. Absolutely. No, you're good. I'll turn it down. I get worried because this is Dateline. Let me turn it down. There, hopefully that's good. I turned it down about 10 notches. Thank you for letting me know. She has a hard time saying innocent. Yep, she does.
Or I wouldn't be here today.
Our interview with Alieen Wuronos on death row was her first since receiving 4 death sentences. She now stands to become the first woman in Florida to be put to death by the state since 1840. What made this 36-year-old woman a killer?
So it had been over 100 years since a woman had been put to death in Florida, and it had been even longer than that when she was put to death. Needsome Z's said, in my opinion, people who murder outside of self-defense are not necessarily influenced, but affected by life circumstances, such as horrific abuse of some kind, not things like video games. Definitely. I think so. I think so. Do you, in particular, Needsome Z's, think that video games now that are so realistic have influenced murders? Like, I can think of a few, I can't remember the names though, where the video games were directly correlated to the unalivings. A lot of school shootings and things. Do you think that that would be a trauma response or correlated to video games? You're welcome, Abellis. I'm sorry it was loud. You had a crush on Lester Holt. That's funny. That's cute.
Why does she have no remorse? Who is Alieen Wuronos? Her world was a highway punctuated by truck stops, a woman living among roadmen, drifters, and transients.
She said that she didn't do truck stops, so that's already a lie.
Her path of violence began in December 1989. Her first victim, Richard Mallory, a 52-year-old TV repairman. Cause of death, 4 bullet wounds.
Trigger warning, because it's probably going to show the bodies. This is back when they showed things like that on TV. Okay, so real quick, Rubber said Call of Duty is bad, but hubby loves it. My kids play Call of Duty actually. But they're homeschool. I'm not worried about them. They're good. Not all people who have gone through horrific abuse are killers, though. So there's got to be other reasons that cause people to be okay with it. Okay, I can definitely agree with that.
June 1990, 6 months later, David Spears, his truck abandoned. He was found nude with 6 bullet wounds. A week later, Charles Cascadon, en route to his fiance's.
Sorry for that loud thing. It was right by the speaker. Basil was chewing my paper, and I need that paper that was written on, so I had to give him a different piece.
House. His body dumped in the woods, shot 9 times.
Witnesses told us they saw.
Sergeant Robert Douglas was on the task force formed to stop the killings in Central Florida. What evidence began to emerge?
Well, just about an overkill in every one. They were shot multiple times. They were robbed. They were left in secluded areas for days and days on end.
It was
overkill. So again, that's going to make me correlate it to the abuse she suffered at the hands of the men that were in her life. Her father, if she did, I know she wasn't around her father very long. Her grandfather, her brother, all of those things. Since you're telling me now that it was overkill. Sally Carson said, I feel like there's already underlying issues if a video game is influencing you. What a great point to make. Yes, absolutely. Abella said it's not just video games. Films show blood and gore and often make villains into heroes. Absolutely again. Yes. 100%. Great comments and great discussion today.
7 months after the killing started, the police got their first break. Missionary Peter Sims disappeared in June 1990. Then his car was involved in a crash. In the car, 2 women.
It was on this road that you first got the clue. The serial killer you were looking for was a woman.
That's true. What happened was they were traveling on this road right here.
Coming around this bend.
Coming around this corner, traveling through here, ran off the road, hit this gate, went through the gate on into these bushes here, where when the car came to...
You can see the gate. Like, I like this footage because we can still see the gate bent from where they hit it. This would have been when Ty was driving and wrecked the car.
The stop. They got out, took the tag off, started wiping it down, took some belongings that they had in there, and beat feet down the road.
Witnesses saw the 2 women running.
Beat feet down the road. I haven't heard that saying in so long. Cara said, it's interesting how they neglected to mention Mallory's previous offenses. It is, because, you know, they're trying to portray him as 100% innocent. Like Bad Girl said, media manipulates us too. Yeah, you were talking about the other thing, but the media is definitely manipulating in this video as well, in my opinion.
One was later identified as Alieen Wuronos. A sketch of Wuronos was posted around Florida.
I know y'all don't, but like I've still got YouTube pulled up on my screen and it's like a close-up of Alieen, so I can see the 2. I wish I could pull it up for you. But that looks nothing like Alieen. Y'all know what Alieen looks like. And that does not look like Alieen to me at all. I don't know how we're doing anything with that sketch.
But 3 more men would be murdered on the highway. Again, the victims were middle-aged white men, all shot with a .22 caliber pistol.
I didn't want to pause it on that. Trixie said, well, our society has changed so much. Would not allowed to discipline your child, so everyone gets a trophy to okay. Our society has changed so much with not allowed to discipline your child to everyone gets a trophy to everyone gets offended. And you're right about that. I agree with that as well. Sarah said media always has a narrative. Yep. Y'all are all dropping good thought processes here today. I love the conversation.
Wuronos says the 7 men she killed threatened, raped, or attempted to rape her.
I was raped, tormented badly, and I'm sitting on death row for defending myself, justifiable homicide.
You're explaining now that these men were abusive in your opinion. You understand that for many people, because you were a prostitute, they don't understand how a prostitute can be raped.
I don't understand how nobody can understand how a prostitute can be raped. Because like, when a man rapes a woman, he assaults your whole body. He puts his down your throat, cramming it down your throat. He tears your hair out of your head. He beats your face in. He rips your wide open.
She's being very graphic, and I feel like it's because it's the truth. That's just my opinion. Cara said, I said it earlier, but I don't know if you saw it. She's miscategorized as a serial killer. She's just a murderer, in my opinion. Serial killers do it for the thrill. She did it for necessity or self-defense. Okay. Do you feel that way about the ones that weren't necessarily self-defense? I think that might be what makes her a serial killer. If it was for robbery, it wouldn't technically be a thrill kill, because we don't know her state of mind in that moment. So I wonder, would it be the same? Like, would it just be a murderer for self-defense / robbery? Yeah, let me know. Yeah, she didn't have cheeks like that, eyes like that, or mouth or hair like that, right? There's a difference in discipline and abuse. There is. Was that supposed to be Ty in that sketch? No, I think it's supposed to be Alieen. It doesn't look like her, though. Personally, I don't feel like video games themselves have any effect of it if someone would kill or not. Okay, cool. Thank you guys for sharing your opinions.
Police traced Wuronos to Daytona Beach, where witnesses recognized the sketch. She was hiding out at the Fairview Motel, drinking heavily. In January 1991, 13 months after the first killing, police arrested Wuronos. The hunt for her was over, but the search to understand what made her a killer was just beginning. Alieen Wuronos spent her last night of freedom here at the Last Resort Bar. She slept on a couch. She'd been living on and off the streets since she was a child. How young were you when you first began prostituting?
16.
I think she stated before that she was younger than that. It was 14 when she made her way to Florida. So I would assume she was doing it then too. Cara said she did those for necessity. She wanted something from them and just didn't want a witness. Or she could have been under the influence when it happened. Okay, I can agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Why did you do it the first time?
I was on the road. I was a teenager, homeless.
Wuronos had run away from home after having a child at age 14, which she was forced to give up for adoption. She worked the roads for sex and money.
I made a lot of friends, and I loved it. I wanted
friends.
Yeah, I loved the social communication. I loved the sex. I loved the fun we had. I loved the communication we had. I liked the friendship.
Do you understand that for some people, they would find that strange? In other words, that they couldn't imagine getting love and attention in that way.
I don't understand what's so strange about it. You just made a bunch of friends, so what?
At birth, Wuronos' mother gave her up to be raised by her grandparents in this house. Her mother disappeared from her life. Her father was jailed for raping a child and committed suicide in prison.
Well, I heard that he raped a 7-year-old girl, and so I didn't really care. He raped a little girl and killed her, and it didn't. Anybody who rapes, to me, is a sick, deranged piece of puke that doesn't even deserve to live.
It's interesting to hear her tell why her father was in prison. We know, I didn't know that she knew why he was in prison, and I wonder if he had ever done anything to her, if she would even know, if she could remember. Sally said, I couldn't imagine having a child at 14. I couldn't either. Some people do. Trauma is the word that comes to mind with that. Looked more like Ty than Lee. It did. I think it was supposed to be Lee, though, but I'm not sure.
Wuronos says her grandfather beat her and that she was raped as a child by a friend of the family. Shockingly, she is convinced she is not affected by her childhood.
Because I really did take my past.
You could see, like, in the photos where she was smiling, and you can see over time her demeanor, her whole demeanor, like, change. I want to go back to that. I'm going to play this again. Look at the school pictures over time, and you can see where she's really happy and then not so much.
Couldn't imagine getting love and attention in that way.
I don't understand what's so strange about it. You just made a bunch of friends, so what?
At birth, Wuronos' mother gave her up to be raised by her grandparents in this house. Her mother disappeared from her life. Her father was jailed for raping a child and committed suicide.
She looks like her mother. I've never seen a picture of her mother. She is right, frankly, in my opinion. Look how much she looks like her mother. That's crazy.
In prison.
Well, I heard that he raped a 7-year-old girl, and so I didn't really care. He raped a little girl and killed her, and it didn't. Anybody who rapes, to me, is a sick, deranged piece of puke that doesn't even deserve to live.
Wuronos says her grandfather beat her.
Okay, pay attention to her smile over the years and her demeanor in these photos anyway.
Her, and that she was raped as a child.
That one wasn't so much. This one, she's smiling. I mean, she was smiling so big in the first one, and now it's a little less.
By a friend of the family.
That's a big smile.
Shockingly, she
not so much.
Is convinced she is not affected.
Barely smiling at all. And I mean, it makes me, I can see it. And is that because I want to, or my mom wants me to? Maybe. I don't know. But I can see over time how the abuse affected her.
Affected by her childhood.
Because I really did take my past and just throw it in the river. I mean, I never thought I never dwelt on my past. Every day was a new day for me.
Do you think that you didn't want to dwell on it because it represented something ugly for you?
Well, maybe that could be. I didn't like my childhood, that's true. But I didn't dwell on it. It didn't mess my life up.
She didn't want to think about the trauma, if I had to give my opinion.
Psychologist Dr. Elizabeth McMahon met with Wuronos for over a year. She says Wuronos' childhood did affect her deeply, filling her with rage and crippling her emotionally. Here's her evaluation of Alieen Wuronos. She calls.
See, I like this because it gives us the all of the pictures and evaluations and things while they're very fresh. Babilla said they couldn't understand that a prostitute could be great, and yeah, that's right. They didn't think about women like that back then, or prostitutes specifically.
Probably that Lee is one of the most primitive individuals I've ever met. By that I mean that she is probably at the level of about a 3 or 4 year old child emotionally.
There are many people who were abused as children, who were raped. They don't pick up a gun and kill. What's the difference?
My sense is Lee strikes out at everybody. And is angry at everybody, feels betrayed by everybody, cannot figure out how the world operates, that there's a whole set of rules out there that everybody...
I think that she was betrayed by everybody, and I think she was valid in feeling that way. But that's just my opinion. Sally had said, pictures are worth 1,000 words, and they absolutely are. Need some Z's said, my problem with Alieen, despite whatever her childhood was, is that abuse and a bad circumstance in life doesn't excuse murder. And I don't think it does either. And I don't want to excuse her for that, because like the woman just said, there's people who unfortunately have to deal with that every day of their life, or, you know, a bad childhood, all of the things, and don't turn out as murderers. But I think there is a direct correlation with the trauma she suffered as a child that made her lash out at everybody, and made her lash out to a point that she killed a bunch of men eventually.
Everybody else knows about and Lee doesn't.
That set of rules came crashing down on a rainy December night in 1989. Alieen Wuronos had been carrying a gun for 6 months. Now, within her unstable mind, anger at her childhood abuse collided with rage at sexual assault. Richard Mallory drove her to this secluded area off the highway. It was here that Alieen Wuronos became a killer. Wuronos says Mallory...
What a dramatic way to say that, standing outside the car as a car pulls up. Rubber said, not trying to excuse it, just make it make sense. Yeah. Sally said, seemed to develop a primal personality, in my opinion. Yeah, for sure.
Mallory told her he would pay for sex and then refused to. When she tried to leave, she says he tied her up and repeatedly raped her.
He said, you better do what I say or I'm going to kill you. He said, it doesn't matter to me. Your body will still be warm. I'll kill you right now. I'll screw you later.
But then Wuronos says she turned the tables. He untied her.
See, that's the exact same thing she had stated before. Your body will still be warm. I'll kill you right now and screw you later. That's the same thing she said in court. That's again why it makes me think the first one was self-defense and then everything after that was just murder. I thought I might be muted. Sorry.
Tied her. She got her gun and shot him 4 times.
Well, let me ask you, in your opinion, did Richard Mallory deserve to die?
Okay, for what he did to me, the way he tortured me and everything, yes. Yes, he did. But, how can I explain this? Yes, he did deserve to die, but the way I left him was so kind, because the way he was going to leave me, I'm sure would not have been this way. He would have left me probably dismembered, scattered out in the woods.
So you feel...
I left him with a rug over him so the vultures wouldn't get him.
But you left him dead.
That's right.
This violent encounter would change Alieen Wuronos forever. She would now respond with a gun to those she says assaulted her, to those who reneged on paying for sex.
The day I met Richard Mallory, the way he sexually abused me, I said to myself, I said, if anybody ever comes up to me again and ever tries to rape me like that, he will definitely wish he had not met this prostitute.
But I gotta ask you, one case, you claim rape, you say I shot him in self-defense. But 7 killings?
It wasn't every day. I was out prostituting and I was dealing with hundreds and hundreds of guys. You got a jerk that's going to come along and try to rape me, I'm going to fight.
But you don't blow people away. You blow them away. Oh, jeez. But most prostitutes encounter some kind of
Yeah, what
violence.
do? They get killed or something then?
Some do.
No, I don't believe in that.
I mean, if you pull out a gun, I mean, the first thing any gun owner or anybody teaching you how to use a gun will tell you is if you pull that thing out, you better be prepared to use it. So, I mean, I'm not excusing what she did, but she pulled it out, so therefore she need to use it. Need Some Z said, yeah, I guess that's the case with many, if not all murders, right? All of this info gives us a roadmap to how Lee got to that point in her life. Yes, I agree. I do believe her here. And then Sally said, as warped as she sounds, I can understand what she's feeling, right? Gary Ridgway killed 48 women. Ask him why is what, ask Gary Ridgway, he killed 48 women is what Abella said. I don't know a lot about that. I'm going to have to look into that.
I believe everybody has a right to self-defend themselves. I don't care who you are.
Do you realize that what you did was wrong?
And I'm getting sick and tired of the families, too. Now, I've got a message for the families, okay? Here's a message.
See, did you see her eyes get real wide? She's angry right now. I think this is why we have that video of coming clean later in life.
For the families, you owe me. Your husband raped me violently, Mallory and Carskadden, and the other 5 tried, and I went through a heck of a fight to win. You owe me, not me owe you.
You killed a loved one.
So they almost killed me.
You know, I already stated that I don't think all of them were self-defense. I couldn't imagine being a wife and finding out not only that your husband was out getting other women, but that they had been shot in the process. So I really feel for the wives in this moment.
Who's supposed to die? It's a battle. That's the way it is. That's life. You got a battle going between life and death. Whoever wins, more power to you. I mean, that is the way it is. That's life.
No matter what your reaction to Alieen Wuronos, there is this question. How did she come to commit these crimes? So when we come back, a window on the tortured private world of Alieen Wuronos. And you'll meet...
I think Tyra is going to talk in this episode from what I saw, so that's going to be interesting as well.
her lover, whose active betrayal set the stage for the arrest and conviction of Wuronos. Michelle's report continues in a moment.
Cara said, I think this interview right here is what made AHS portray her as unhinged. Possibly. Trixie said, okay, answer this. Would a man who murdered 6 or 7 prostitutes be given the death penalty? Back then, prostitutes were considered like roaches. They were, and that's a question that I have. If a man murdered 6 or 7 prostitutes, would he be given the death penalty as opposed to life in prison? I'm sure he would have got life in prison, but would he be given the death penalty? And I should look up some cases because, unfortunately, I'm sure it's happened. That there's been somebody who murdered a couple of prostitutes and maybe wasn't given the death penalty. Ridge Ray. Yeah, I knew the name. He was the Green River Killer near Seattle. I remember him. And then there was BTK too. You can tell Lee's heart is hardened. She was in survival mode against everyone, threat or not. Yep, absolutely. Gary is demonic. He went back to the bodies for Smex, pushing maggots aside. He is evil. Yep, I've heard about that.
We continue now with the case of Alieen Wuronos, the woman the FBI has called America's first female serial killer. Her 7 victims, all middle-aged men. Wuronos claims she killed in self-defense. How then did she get 4 death sentences against her?
Well, the answer in part lies with another woman you're about to meet, Alieen Wuronos' female lover. She knows Wuronos better than anyone, and as you'll see, when authorities wanted a confession out of Wuronos, they used her lover as bait. Michelle Gillen picks up the story.
There is a side to Alieen Wuronos only one person knows. A woman who moved with her from motel to trailer park to motel. A woman who was in love with Alieen Wuronos and lived with her during the killings. Her name is Tyra Moore.
So here Tyra Moore speaks after being on the stand and testifying against the woman she supposedly loved. BTK, yeah, that's a crazy story. He's demonic too, said Bad Girl. I don't call him BTK because he called himself that for bind, torture, kill. Right. I call him by his name, Dennis Rader. Thank you. Because I just remembered the BTK part, or bind, torture, kill part, not Dennis Rader. Have y'all looked into Zodiac? That's another interesting one.
Living with her for 4.5 years, I know her better than I think anyone else does. And I think she's very intelligent.
What attracted you to Lee Wuronos?
She was very caring. She cared a lot about me. I cared a lot about her.
Moore, for the first time, tells of their life together, a life that began 3 years before the first murder. She says she came to Florida in 1985 to escape the suburban life of her parents' home in the Midwest. 6 years younger than Wuronos, the two men...
I didn't know. I thought her parents lived in Florida with her because I thought that she was trying to keep them happy. Maybe it was an aunt or uncle. Because I remember in the movie it showed that, like, her family was getting mad about Alieen living with her or something to that effect. I could be wrong, but that's what I seem to recall.
Met at Daytona's Zodiac Bar and became inseparable. But something changed, something that would make Tyra Moore decide to lead Wuronos toward the electric chair. The bizarre story begins in December 1989, on the night Wuronos killed for the first time, came home and told her lover.
I shot and killed a man that day, is what she told me. And I definitely didn't want to believe her because she was acting so normal. I mean, it was like, it didn't bother her at that time.
But did you believe her?
After a certain point, yes, I did. She later cried after she had thought about what she had done. It seemed like it bothered her that she had done it.
Incredibly, Moore says she thought the killing would exorcise Wuronos of her rage.
One of the reasons that I didn't come forward and tell anybody was because I was hoping that, that would change her attitude towards life, that all her hatred had gotten out, and that, she would change.
During the fall of 1990,
I had to do some things. I had to look away for a minute, but I'm listening, and I think Alieen believed her when she admitted it the first time. I really do. Bad girl said, "Ugh, Tyra." I know, right?
the two lived in this motel room, Wuronos leaving weekly to prostitute on the highways. Moore says Wuronos was often drinking, often angry.
How did you deal with
Stressed out and traumatized, maybe? Using substances to cope would be more what I would say.
anger, when you felt anger?
I wasn't an angry person. Tyra ripped a t-shirt off of me, man. She beat up a guy in a bar and I had to break it up and everything else. I wasn't an angry.
But I see anger today when we talk about these men.
Because, a year and a half, nothing but people choking you to death saying, hey, you're a prostitute, we want you to die, man. We don't give a damn, we're going to make a whole lot of money off you, man. We don't care about you and that you were almost dead and all this other. I'm pissed.
I think taking into consideration the way that men and people viewed prostitutes at the time and how, again, it was like the Wild West, as far as if you were great, trying to get help with that. If you were a prostitute during that time, you would more than likely be locked up. So I could see how that could be possible. Bad Girl says, notice Ty never states she loves Lee. It's cared for her. And she called her a name. Yep. Tyra sitting on her fat butt using Lee's money. Yep.
When she would come home from all these tricks, would she ever express anger, towards men? I mean, did she like men?
No, she didn't. She said she hated him. That's why I couldn't understand how she could go out and have sex with him to make money.
Because that was the easy way to make money, and that was all she had ever known, in my opinion. And I don't think she would have liked men either, because she sees them at their worst every day, paying for a lady of the night.
Much as she hated him.
The police search got bigger and closer to home. Remember the crashed car that gave police their break? Moore had been the driver. She now saw the car on local news reports and learned it belonged to one of the victims.
You had been in that car?
Yes, I had.
Moore's love was turning to fear, but she still didn't call police.
Probably at that time I was more scared. If I did, she would hurt me.
Oh, stop it. You were scared of being an associate after the fact, accomplice after the fact. You weren't scared of her. Stop it. Said, no, Ty, you didn't tell because you spent the money from the robbery, right? Another great point, Bad Girl. Oh, yeah, let me get that real quick. I ain't played that in a while. Thank you, Abellis. Hold on, let me grab that.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
Yeah, I think that's how we feel about that.
And I did still care about her a lot.
By the time police arrested Wuronos in Daytona Beach in January 1991, Moore had left her. But the police needed Moore to make their case against Wuronos. They tracked her down and brought her to this motel. The
police... Hold on.
They told Moore she was the suspect, that to clear her name, she had to convince Alieen Wuronos to confess. Moore decided she would betray her love for Wuronos.
So they got her in this motel room and got her to basically snitch on Lee. Oh, let me see the comments. He's in the wrong place. He is so cute.
While a police tape recorder rolled and a police officer sat at Moore's side, she spoke by phone 11 times to Wuronos. Moore even threatened suicide to convince her.
I love you a lot. I don't know whether I should keep on
son living, or if I should. No, Tyler.
Wuronos is saying, I love you a lot. And she's like, I don't know if I should keep on living. Not, I love you too. Just makes me mad.
Ty, listen. What? I will cover you because you are not in trouble. You're innocent. I know I am. I'm not going to let you go to jail or anything. If I have to confess, I will.
And to say,
if I have to confess, I will. So is she saying I'll confess to everything to keep you safe, or I'll confess to everything even though you were involved?
Tyra Moore, she did confess. Her love was taking her towards the electric chair.
I want you to see that. The only reason I'm confessing too is because I love her so much. I don't want to get her in trouble because she's not the one.
She's saying here she's not the one, but again I question if it was trying to cover for what Ty did. Yeah, the bullshit kid in my emoji is funny. Sally said, why would Ty stick around after knowing Lee's ways and what she had done, if not for an alternative motive? Good point. Bad Girl said, exactly, Sally, she used Lee. She did. Money. Said Abelis.
In her videotape confession, Wuronos described in chilling detail how she murdered the men she says threatened her.
And I was trying to say, he gets her the door, he closed the door, and come at me like this. And I said, you better stop him. He keeps shooting. He wouldn't stop. I shot him again. And I think I hit him somewhere around here. And he fell to the ground. And I shot him in the head.
With Moore testifying against her in court, Wuronos was convicted in the trial of her first victim, Richard Mallory. Yet today, Alieen Wuronos says she's not angry at Moore for betraying her.
Let me ask you this. You really love Tyra. Some people would say...
I have no doubt about that. I think she loved Tyra possibly a little bit too much, and Ty didn't love her the same.
A lot, by wanting to protect her, you confessed, and you're going to go to the electric chair. You feel betrayed by Tyra?
Oh, yes. I mean, I think it's sad that she didn't say it was self-defense when she knew it was self-defense. But then again, I don't understand because, I don't know. I think the cops threatened her. I said, look, you're going to get first-degree murder. You're going to go to prison the rest of your life. You might even go on death row with her.
I spoke to her yesterday.
You spoke to Tyra Moore?
Yep.
Oh, tell me about it.
And
look how happy she is to know that she spoke to Tyra yesterday. Like, you can tell she still loves Tyra. Jenny Jen, thank you for being a member for 2 months. I really appreciate that. Wow, you stuck around for 2 months to hear me talk. That's amazing. Thank you.
And she said to me, you smile. Someone said, why are you smiling? This is a woman who testified against you.
I still love her. I always will love her. I'll love her. I hope I see her in heaven.
Why do you still love her?
I loved her. You don't understand the love. People don't understand the love. They think it wasn't sexual. My love was a mental thing between me and Tyra. I loved her for who she was. Although I did not know she had a two-faced heart.
But I think that's an accurate thing to say, that she loved her, because when you truly love somebody, it's not always about the sex. It's about actual love. Jenny Jen, you're so awesome. Thank you. Aw, you're so sweet. Abella said, poor Alieen. Jenny said, I love it here. I'm glad you do. I love you being here.
But not only does Alieen Wuronos say her lover betrayed her, she claims the prosecution used that to railroad her toward the electric chair. Was she right? The issue comes down to whether the prosecution was truthful in portraying Wuronos as a woman who killed not from threat, but for thrills.
This woman was killing for the thrill of killing. She was selecting her victims at random, and she was killing whenever the opportunity and the mood coincided.
State Attorney John Tanner, who handled the Richard Mallory trial, was determined to put her on death row. He knew convincing the jury would be tough.
Well, we had to convince them to vote for death.
It's difficult in any criminal case to convince a jury to vote for death regardless of the facts, but especially if the accused is a woman.
I'm thinking this guy is.
Why did you have to convince them to put her to death, though, is my question.
I'm thinking how he's going to kill me.
To make his case, Tanner needed to discredit Alieen Wuronos' claim of self-defense. When we spoke to him after the trial, here's what he told us about the confession she had given to police detectives.
When she ultimately gave the confession to the investigating detective, the Volusia County Sheriff Horzepa, she never once mentioned self-defense.
Not exactly. In Wuronos' full confession, she brought up self-defense again and again. We counted a total of 53 times. But despite a fight by Wuronos' lawyers, the jury was shown an edited version with Wuronos' claims of self-defense deleted.
What? Are you serious? That is grounds for a mistrial. What the crap? I think Lee loved Ty more than herself. I do too. Bad girl. Sally Carson said she may know more about what love is than a lot of people. That is a very accurate thing to say. Sally, thank you for saying that. Jenny said, please don't forget to give this video a like. Please don't forget to do that. Thank you. Abella said, I wonder what he thinks today if he's still alive. Me too. And Sally said, wow. Yeah, that should have been grounds for a mistrial alone. But we know that they were out to get her anyway.
Then Tanner pulled off an extraordinary legal maneuver. He convinced the judge to let him introduce evidence of the 6 other killings Wuronos confessed to, but had not stood trial for. This cinched the death sentence and was key to getting a guilty verdict in the first place.
They weren't supposed to talk about the 6 other murders because the first one possibly was self-defense. I mean, why not? If she got off on the self-defense, why not make her stand trial for the other murders and then go from there? Like, why? I mean, again, it just shows me that it was a railroad job.
If you had gone in and only been allowed to argue the Richard Mallory case unto itself, were you guaranteed to win?
No. If we had had to try the case on simply the evidence of Mr. Mallory's killing, with her story of self-defense, of sexual assault, of brutal torture that she described, the jury would be hard-pressed to sort out the truth in that case. We certainly could have lost it.
But John Tanner got the death penalty and more. Convinced she would never get a fair trial, Wuronos' mood darkened. She stunned her lawyers by asking for the death penalty in her remaining cases. When her public defender lawyers objected, she fired them. A new lawyer, Stephen Glazer, helped her plead guilty or no contest in those cases. There were no other trials. She got the death sentence in each case.
She said, Steve, I want to get out of this. Let's get it over with. I'll save my own grief. I won't have to go from county jail to county jail. We won't be spending $10 to $20 to $30 million of taxpayers' money, and the victims' families could get at peace.
When she first looked at you,
that's interesting. She stopped caring, said Cara, which is so sad, and it is.
And convinced you that she wanted to die and she wanted the electric chair. You cried.
I cried because I believe in her right to choose her death.
Psychologist McMahon disagrees. She says Wuronos is too unbalanced to make such a decision.
She wants the situation, as she perceives it to be right now, to be different.
I don't think that she was in the right state of mind to make a decision like that either.
And the only way she sees to do that is to request the death penalty. Does she fully understand that this means that she will die and not be here tomorrow? No. Lee doesn't understand that ramification of her statements.
McMahon has dealt with hundreds of killers. She believes that Wuronos is a special case, that she should not be put to death.
One of the things in our law is that we do not put to death children. In my clinical opinion, Lee is a child. She's chronologically an adult. She is emotionally, psychologically a child.
Shirley Humphreys, widow of Wuronos' sixth victim, says no matter why she pulled the trigger, Wuronos should pay for what she did.
She just emanated evil. No soul. No, I think she's, completely immoral.
Shirley Humphreys.
I don't think she's completely immoral, but this is going to be one of the wives of the victims, and while I do feel sorry for the victims, I can't state that she was completely immoral and your husband wasn't. I'm not trying to victimize a victim, but that's just how I feel about that. She lost the case against the POS who had a history of abusing women. She probably figured, I lost that, what's the point of fighting for others, right? Zayo said, spreading tacos through chat for everyone. I wish I had a taco right now. Bad Girl said that lawyer used Lee as well. Yep.
Humphrey's husband, Charles, was a former police chief. The day after their 35th wedding anniversary, he disappeared.
What haunts you most about his final hours or minutes?
The violence, how hard he had to die. She shot him in the gut, she shot him in the heart. I have his pen and pencil back there where one bullet was deflected. She shot him 7 times. The pain that man had to suffer is just unthinkable.
And I don't believe, I don't think that, I'm not justifying what she did, but at the same time, your husband was out there seeking her attention. Not that he deserved to die in any way, shape, or form, but you have to say that maybe both of them were in the process of doing something bad, and then what she did was just horrific and horrible and shouldn't have happened, and he should not be dead right now. But you can't use the word immoral to describe her when there was immoral things going on between both parties, is my thought on that. She's calling her immoral because of Lee's lifestyle. Right. But disregarding the fact that your husband was out there doing the same thing, not the same thing, but, looking for her services. Let's ignore the fact that your husband of 43 years went to a sex worker. Right. Exactly.
Do you believe in the death penalty?
I do now. Very definitely I do now.
Before this?
No.
But Alieen Wuronos, the woman described as an emotional child, whose rage came easily and sometimes violently, who police say will go down as the first female serial killer, now says she wants to live.
I hear from you today that you really don't want to die.
I don't want to die. I had to plead no contest because there's no sense in going through the trials that are totally unfair. Now,
Wuronos says she wants to fight her case in new trial. She is still unrepentant.
But the 7th man that you shot, did you say to yourself, I'm out of control. I'm killing people. I need help.
No, I thought to myself, those men are out of control. I'm sick and tired of those men out there thinking they can control us and do whatever they damn well please with our bodies and think they can get away with it because it's a male-dominant society and we're gonna treat you the way we want to, abuse you, treat you, destroy you. It don't matter to us because we can get away with doing that.
At that point in time, I agree with what she's saying, because at that point in time, she's absolutely right about everything she's saying about the United States in 1992, 91, 89, 70, 60, all of that. Reese said, hello, everyone. Hey, Reese. Hey, Amy Skull. Thank you for being here. Amy said she was never a serial killer. I hate they branded her with that. Needs Some Z's said the same thing. So I asked earlier in the stream, why do you think that? Okay, so if the first one was self-defense and the rest were robberies and not thrill kills, does that mean she's not a serial killer? Or, and I guess it would, because the serial killer kills for thrills. So technically, I agree with that statement. She would have just been a murderer. I think if she were alive today, says Kara, she'd get a sentencing. I think so too. I don't think they would have put her to death during this time period. Bad Girl said, plus Richard had a prior essay on his record too. Yeah, and they left out the part where she said it was self-defense in the confession. Bellis, you're good, honey. Sarah said, I think they used this serial killer definition of having multiple victims. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Just last week, Alieen Wuronos, according to her lawyer, had yet another change of heart, again saying she wants to die and die quickly. It seems to underline what psychologists have said about those mood swings of hers, even when it's a question of her own life or death. Next month, more court appearances and probable outcome to more death sentences.
Michelle, if the psychologist is right, this is a woman whose emotional and moral growth was stunted at an early age.
I agree with that statement.
Did you get the impression sitting across from her during the interview that this was a child trapped in a woman's body?
That was exactly my take. After just the first few minutes of asking her questions, I realized I had to put my set of values and ethics, leave them at the door. Alieen Wuronos just doesn't grasp the concept that killing is wrong. She just doesn't get it. At best, she might say death and murder is sad.
And it was striking that even as she denied her rage against men, it was coming out.
That's a weird thing to say.
During the interview. How is she different from other female killers?
Well, there's a reason why the FBI has classified her as the first female serial killer. Without exception, other women who have killed repeatedly nearly always are caregivers who have a distorted sense that if they kill the elderly or sick, it's a mercy killing. Alieen Wuronos is an exception, a frightening exception.
Thank you, Michelle.
A frightening exception. Baby is out! Oh, Jesus. Goodness gracious. That was something, wasn't it? Let me pull this YouTube back up. Okay. Sarah said, the dictionary definition, a person who commits series of murders, often with no apparent motive and typically following a characteristic, predictable behavior pattern. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that fits her? Do you think the definition of a serial killer fits her, that she is a person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive and typically following a characteristic, predictable behavior pattern? I can, except for the motive, like, was the motive robbery when it wasn't self-defense? Amy said she's no Night Stalker. She was a human being that was failed time and time again by everyone. Yeah, I agree with that, for sure. Hey, Itchy Witcher's Horse Rescue, it's good to see you. Listening while I work. Well, thank you for that. The FBI definition said, the FBI definition adds 2 or more murders. Okay. Abella said she's an artist. I'm buying a painting, but she's a real brat about the price. Oh, goodness. Well, all right. All right, so we're going to continue this. This was her last interview. I don't know why they start with this one. Indie Girl said, I think so with that definition. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing.
But still, then again, I got a number, so it's serial killer. But I'm coming clean before I go in that execution chamber and be executed. That I killed him.
And so when you met them from the beginning, did you know that you were going to kill them? When they picked you up in their cars?
I pretty much had them selected that they were going to die.
But when you're saying that,
I have a problem with her state of mind and her fidgetiness, and at this point later in life, like, it makes me hard to take what she's saying seriously. Not seriously, but like as her telling the truth. And not just saying things that because she's out of her head.
there was no self-defense. So there was no self-defense.
No, there was no self-defense. I'm being really straight up about everything. There's no self-defense. I'm really sorry what happened about everything. I was in this to me, this world is nothing but evil, and all of us are full of evil one way or another. in whatever we do. We have evil in us, all of us do. And my evil would just happen to come out because of the circumstances of what I was doing. Hitchhiking, hooking, on the road.
But, I mean, other hitchhikers that are hooking and on the road don't do the same, so I don't think it did come out because of the circumstance of that in particular. Abella said, I think the definition fits. Amy said, I think she would have been executed today, though, in Florida especially. Really? I feel like she would have got life in prison. I don't know. That's a good question, though. Bad Girl said, I think her motive was robbery, money to keep Ty. Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. Indie Girl said, okay, Richard Ramirez, he's the same thing. We are all evil. Yeah, I could see the definite correlation between Richard Ramirez, but his crimes were like for thrill, not for a possible motive of robbery or things like that. Reese said, so she said she wanted to accept grace through Jesus. We were all born into this world of filth, and I'm glad that she's resting peacefully. I bet she's drinking wine with Hagar right now. Oh, that's so sweet. And then Amy said they just lowered the amount of jurors in Florida to get the death penalty. Oh, wow. I did not know that. That's interesting.
I was a homeless person all my life. And then the hitchhiking, hooking, I learned off the homelessness and cruising all over the United States of America and stuff. And so learning how to be a hooker as a hitchhiker eventually got tiring. In the end, I carried the gun for protection, but then I got where I was getting a real problem, and our rent was due, $1,200 behind. Tyra was doing a lot of beer drinking and stuff. She wanted to go out all the time, so she was burning up the money I was making. I was making good, about $200-300 a day sometimes.
So that goes back to Tyra using her for the money, which is what some of you have suggested.
Sometimes
did she know what you were doing?
Oh yeah, Ty always knew everything I was doing.
I met her in a bar.
This is Eileen's great love, Tyra. One of the reasons I had felt so much sympathy for Eileen was that she was betrayed by those closest to her all her life.
We were sitting on the floor watching TV, and she just come out and said, I have something to tell you. And I asked her what, and she said that she had shot and killed a man that day.
Tyra knew about the murders all along, but didn't come forward to say anything until she was questioned by police. Tyra, who was never charged with anything, was then made a state's witness, and it has been asserted, became part of the movie rights package in the Hollywood police film deal. It was Tyra who got Eileen to confess in a series of taped phone calls.
Hello? Hi? Yes. Yes.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I had to call you early because I didn't know if you were going to leave today or what.
I don't... What the hell's going on, Lee? They've called. They've been up to my parents again. They've got my sister now asking her questions. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Huh.
And this was her trying to get Eileen to confess. Sally said, Amy, I wonder what the logic for that is. Ty was just another trafficker. Okay. Excuse me. Cara said Florida is posed to become the state with the nation's lowest threshold for juries to recommend death sentences after the state's legislature passed a bill allowing a judge to impose death if at least 8 of 12 jurors agree. Oh, wow. That's really interesting. And then Amy said, Sally, it was a recent case where the defendant did not get the death penalty because the jury was hung. So it's super recent. Oh, wow. And Cara said, I got that from a website. Thank you. Thank you guys for that information. Y'all are amazing.
Huh. What are they asking your sister questions?
I don't know. Lee, they're coming after me. I know they are.
No, they're not.
They've got to. Why are they asking so many questions then?
Honey, listen. Do what you gotta do, okay?
I'm gonna have to because I'm like gonna go to jail for something that you did. This is unfair. My family.
See, she's crying in court, which again shows me her love for Ty. Oh, really, Cara? That's interesting. Wasn't that the Nicholas Cruz case? Oh, that makes more sense. I feel like it should be challenged if it doesn't seem constitutional. It should, in my opinion, as well.
Family is a nervous wreck up there. My mom has been calling me all the time. She doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Okay. You gotta do, okay? Alrighty.
What?
Okay, bad girl. Thank you for driving and listening.
I'm not gonna let you go to jail.
Oh, real quick, this is from Absolute Crime, and it's titled "My Interviews with Serial Killer Alieen Wuronos: Life and Death of a Serial Killer."
I don't know whether I should keep on living or if I should.
No, Ty,
And what if they don't believe me?
Tyra, listen.
What?
I'm not gonna let you go to jail or anything.
I know what I noticed about this is Alieen telling Tyra that she loves her, and then Tyra just saying, "I'm gonna kill myself."
Okay.
So you were very close.
Yeah, we're.
All right.
And I still miss her, and I still love her, but I'm really sorry about everything I've done. I miss Ty. I lost Tyra over this, and then the people that lost their loved ones and everything. I really think first about the people that lost their loved ones, and then Ty second, because I have to put them in first on this whole thing. I'm really sorry for them losing their loved ones, man. I know the feeling.
And what about with Richard Mallory? Because you gave that testimony with Richard Mallory.
Yeah, Richard Mallory was not self-defense.
This bothers me because she gave such a graphic confession. I think it was. I think maybe she's trying to make the families feel better. That's my thought on this.
Richard Mallory I killed, and I needed his wheels to move the stuff, and he had the right amount of money I needed to move into the apartment. So.
But what about the testimony that you gave in court about?
Oh, that's just like I was saying.
About the Visine and.
Oh, I was just doing a lying biz. It was just my lying gig, trying to beat the system.
A lying biz. See, I mean, it's slang of the time period that she was working. But it's just weird to me. I'd love to know what her mental state was like, what she was diagnosed as, what her brain wave activity was, if she got sick with any kind of brain issues, dementia, things like that later in life. That's a question I have about these interviews. Darlene said, "Dang it, I'm really late." No, you're fine, honey. You got here right when you're supposed to be here.
Really? So that was really all, none of it was true.
You said, it doesn't matter to me.
And we saw this, but it's going to go through it. I'm going to let it play to just kind of remind us. And I think we got some new people in here. Amy said, "This is why I don't think she fits the definition of a serial killer. Even though she seems like she had a serious head injury, she can still muster up empathy for others. This isn't the same." I agree. Ty seems to know exactly how to manipulate. She does. Technically, if you want to say someone who murders more than 2 people is a serial killer, then technically she's a serial killer, but not for a thrill kill reason, would be my stance on that.
Your body will still be warm from my huge cock. And he said, he was choking me and I was holding it like this. And he said, "Do you want to die, slut?" And I just nodded no. And then he said, "Are you gonna listen to everything I've got to say? Have you do?" And I just nodded yes.
They want to.
Takes the Visine and he lifts up my legs and he puts what turns out to be rubbing alcohol in the Visine bottle, and he sticks. So
it's hard for me to think that this wasn't genuine. That's again my issue with her later in life. Cara said, Amy, I'm not sure I agree. Dahmer said he felt remorse and empathy before he was unalived. I think Dahmer, if we're going to talk about Dahmer, I think that Dahmer did feel remorse and empathy later in life, but I think he was truly, there was something wrong with him from a very young age as far as mentally, because that's a different situation. His mother hated him and took a bunch of different medications when she was pregnant with him, and we now know those medications have horrible side effects on an unborn child. And his dad tried so hard is the thing for me with Dahmer. Like, he had a good, for the most part, as good as it could be childhood. I think there was something wrong in his brain that made him do that. I don't think, when we talk about Alieen, I think if her childhood had been different, she would not have done this. Ty is an awful person, just like all the other people that have been around her, said Amy. Amy said, yeah, but Dahmer's kills were entirely for himself. He was terrified of being alone, and he didn't want them to leave. Yep, absolutely. Zayo said, I think he was a sociopath, and I think he mimicked the things that he thought people wanted to see out of him. That's an interesting perspective. I've never heard it put like that. Amy said Alieen killed out of fear. Do you think so? Do you think all of them were out of fear? Like, you know, I know she got a police person, a policeman that, like, was a missionary and things like that. I don't personally think she killed him out of fear. I think he absolutely felt zero remorse for anything. Talking about Dahmer, do you think he had the capability to feel remorse for it, Zayo? Dahmer felt remorse because in order to hurt people, he had to be drunk. Okay. Said Sarah. Cara said, I can see it. You guys have a point. And then last one, Sarah said, Dahmer's mom wouldn't let anyone hold him. He had little physical contact as a baby. Right. You could see, you had told us that before. And Cara said, I could see the fear. Maybe they did something that triggered her. Yeah. Trauma response.
Up my rectum area. And that really hurt really bad because he tore me up for a while. And so in my vagina, it was really hurt bad. And then he walked around back to driver's seat side, and he pulled my nose open like this. Pulled them open, and he squirt rubbing alcohol down my nose. And he said, I'm saving your eyes for the grand finale. And he put the Visine back on the dash, and I spit in his face. And he said, you're a dead bitch, you're dead. And he's wiping his eyes. And I laid down real quick, and I grabbed my bag. And he was starting to come for me. And I grabbed my bag and whipped my pistol out toward him. And he was coming toward me with his right arm, I believe. And I shot immediately. And I think I shot twice, as fast as I could.
I believe her in this moment. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Sarah said, you know, if I hear Dahmer, I pop up like Beetlejuice. Yeah, Dahmer's a very interesting case. Amy said, yeah, I do. This is a person that can't even define her emotions, so it's all fear and lizard brain. Yeah, I could see that. Zayo said, no, I don't think he was capable of remorse. I think he was capable of seeing the ways that he thought he was supposed to act. Okay, I could see that. As much as Dahmer's father cared, wasn't it a little too late? Like, he was abandoned in high school by both. You're right, he was abandoned in high school and lived at the house by himself. Yeah, you're right. Dahmer's class went to Washington, D.C., and he managed to get his group to meet Vice President Mondale. I think I remember seeing about that. Oh, I'm sorry, Cara. I don't want to... Let me... Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, they both left and left him at the house alone.
Because in court you gave such a graphic description of what had happened with Richard Mallory.
Yeah, after sitting around thinking how I could drum up a story. You know.
So it was pretty convincing.
Was it? That's sad.
Well, I thought so.
Yeah, that's sad. Well,
and it's not that you just decided that you wanted to die and you wanted to get it over and done with, that you changed your story.
no. The reason is it's serious. There's no way, and nobody should go in that execution chamber dying on a hope for a lie, and even by the second may get out of this thing on a lie.
But I heard, that you just couldn't stand being on death row after 12 years.
Nick, this is the last time I'm going to say it. You have to kill Alieen Wuronos because she'll kill again.
It's hard for me to hear her say that. I'm sorry, Kara, and my heart goes out to you as well. Kara said, so maybe those men who didn't harm her did something or said something that triggered that fear response and she went into fight mode. Absolutely. I could see that. Amy said exactly, that's what I mean about killing out of fear. Yeah. And I can agree with that. Maybe they said or did something that triggered that fear response in her. I think it was, to be fair, over a period of several months. Like they didn't start looking at her till 6 or 7 months in. So it's not like she was doing that to every single man she came across. So I could see that. Excuse me, what was different about these men? Because we know there was like 3 or 4 a day, and this is over a 6 or 7 month period, and there's 6 or 7 victims, I think 7. So yeah, I could see that. But again, that's another thing that makes me question the serial killer thing, because serial killers go out and hunt. And usually if they pick somebody up, they're already destined to die.
I had always believed that Alieen Wuronos had acted in self-defense, and that Richard Mallory, her first victim, who had a long history of sex crimes and who had spent...
Did you really always believe that she acted in self-defense? Because I find that hard to believe. I think that you used her like a lot of other people did as well. And to me, that's why she's not a predator. Serial killers are predators. Yeah. Honestly think that with the movements we have today and the acceptance of sex workers we have today, she might get a resentencing. I do too. I know that we state in Florida it would be a hard case to try to do that, but I think so too.
Spent 5 years in an institution for sex.
And again, what I mean, like, if she was doing it because she was a serial killer, I would think that anybody that picked her up, she would have killed. But she didn't, because it was such a long period of time that went by between while she was doing it before she got caught, and it surely wasn't every man that she was with in that time period. So therefore, the motive of the serial killer name is my issue with the name serial killer, but I understand why she was titled that, because she had 2 or more victims. Gammy said, I wish she could have just quit doing that work and realized that most men are trash. I do too. Amy said Florida just gave life in prison to Sarah Boone, and that was just one murder, so maybe.
Sex offenders had tortured and tormented Alieen, pushing her over the edge into an insanity which led to the other 6 murders. This is what Alieen said to Judge Muriel Blunt before the sentencing on the Richard Mallory murder.
What I did was what anybody else would do. I defended myself, which everybody has a right to defend themselves. And I had no intentions of killing anyone. I would not do that. I'm not that type of person.
But the jury didn't go for it. This was Eileen's reaction on receiving her first death sentence.
Majority of the jury, by a vote of 12-0, advise and recommend to the court that it impose the death penalty upon Alieen Carol Wuronos, also known as Susan Lynn Blahovic.
It would have been upsetting to me knowing how the evidence was fudged and how there were so many things that pointed to a mistrial that were never even spoke about. Criminal defense attorneys would be more pressed to look into the backgrounds of all the men. Yep. Abella said Gammy said she couldn't work anywhere else. She'd get fired. I think she knew those guys were trash there. Yeah, she was talking about because she didn't have her GED. Kara said, and they would immediately go for a mistrial for that prosecutor bringing up victims that had nothing to do with the trial. There was a lot of reasons to classify this a mistrial.
Also known as Lori Christine Brody, also known as Cammie Marsh Green, dated at DeLand, Volusia County, Florida, this 30th day of January, 1992.
Alieen, how do you feel about the verdict? Innocent. And I was afraid. And I was a torture. And they had a steering wheel. A steering wheel. And it had scratches all over it. And it's proof that I was tied to the steering wheel. And I cannot believe.
She's saying that they had a picture of the steering wheel, and the steering wheel was broken, and there were scratches all over it, and she cannot believe that this happened because she's innocent. So that makes me again think that it was self-defense with the Mallory trial. I wonder why. I mean, again, why couldn't her defense present that in court?
Why did the jury find you guilty? I think it's media coverage.
The media coverage. Yeah, she makes me feel bad for her too, Trixie. Amy said she wasn't taught any skills. She could barely read. My heart will always be a little broken for Alieen Wuronos. Yeah, I have a soft spot for her. Okay, Gammy said I don't think the serial killer term is correct. Abellis agrees with what I had just said.
I couldn't believe what happened the next day in court. Alieen objecting to her own witnesses.
And I need to get this on record.
She's taking it down.
Okay.
So this is the next day after he talked to her about before the death row thing, I do believe.
There's some witnesses that are coming to this thing. And I've already told my attorneys on numerous occasions, these people did not grow up with me at all. They lived in the neighborhood, but they didn't really associate with me, my brother, my sister, and everybody else.
Here's the only thing. The attorney can call them, but he can't put on anyone he thinks is committing perjury. That's unethical for him to do that.
Gammy said, did they interview her mom? I think that her mom was deceased by the time she went to court. Sally said, can we all agree that she did need to be stopped? We can all agree on that. She did need to be stopped. Her murders were not justified. I can definitely agree on that.
If he thinks they're lying, if he knows that they're lying, he can't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
May the defense request a 10-minute recess?
Yeah, okay. In view of the statements.
I need to confer with my co-counsel.
Of course, yeah.
Like, my question is just, life in prison or death penalty, considering all the circumstances in her life.
Okay, they want to take 10 minutes and confer what they want to say, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll wait recess for 10 minutes.
Alieen was deliberately sabotaging her own defense, but the witnesses were called anyway. Danny Corwell, like many other boys in the neighborhood, lost his virginity to Alieen. Alieen was trading blowjobs for cigarettes from the age of 9.
I was just heading.
See, that's a problem for me. Taking into account that she would trade blowjobs for cigarettes at the age of 9 is a problem for me. I don't know if I've seen these. This is the 90s. They did not have. This is the 90s. They did not have her on any medication. Oh wow. Okay. I mean, they might have, but it makes me question her mental state for sure. The way to see her act and things like that.
Heading over there to see who was there, and got up to the fort, and the door was kind of closed, so I just, opened it up, and Keith and Mark had Alieen in there.
What do you mean that they had Alieen in there?
Well, they had her in there, and you know, she was naked,
and what was happening?
well, Keith was having sex with her.
Keep in mind, that's her brother. But like blood brother. Amy said not in prison. I bet her psychosis just got worse in prison. It's yeah, I could see it. Indie Girl said, wow, so crass. Yeah. They needed the death penalty to sensationalize her trial. I definitely agree with that. They did have her on hydroxyzine. Okay, that's an antihistamine for, that's what Madeline Soto was on for, and she's a child. They definitely should have had her on something stronger. Thank you for that, Zio, in my opinion. Wonderful conversation, everyone. I'm still here just working on homework as I listen. Well, thank you. Yes, this is a wonderful conversation. Smash that like button, beautiful friend, says Sarah. Yes, please, so we can get an algorithm. Thank you.
Did you stay during that?
Yes.
Did you ever have sex with Alieen again?
Just that day.
Jerry Moss, who was a lover of Eileen's, pretended in public he didn't even know her.
She wanted us to be boyfriend, girlfriend in public, and I...
When you were in public around other kids, when the rest of the kids were around, how did you treat her?
Like she was nobody, like she was dirt, like
I'm glad they're being honest, but again, it just makes my heart break for her to hear all these childhood people she knew talk.
had nothing to do with her, you know.
What would you say to her?
Tell her to get the fuck out of my face and go some fucking place else.
Did you call her any names?
Call her ugly, bitch.
I think he has remorse. I mean, I think he's just being direct and to the point and blunt, but I do see remorse. I mean, I could hear him when he exhaled.
If she were following along behind you, what would you do?
We'd, depending on who was with me or whatever, but I'd turn around and throw rocks at her and tell her to get the fuck out of there, go home.
Why would you do that?
Because I didn't want to be seen with her. I didn't want to be associated with her.
Do you know whether she was having sexual relations with anyone else?
Abella said he should have remorse creep. Yeah. Yeah. This is just really sad. Amy said, yeah, he's more remorseful because he looks like a dick. He does. He looks like his name is Richard. I'll leave that at that.
Allison, that's Con.
Yes, I did.
And who was that?
Her brother, Keith.
Is that her uncle or is that her actual?
That's
father?
her actual brother.
I question, God forbid something like this going on today, but like, would a young, children in a neighborhood, if they saw a girl having sex with her brother, would they participate? Would they tell somebody? I mean, I don't know. I know that I saw something like that. I absolutely would. But did they think it wasn't anything wrong with it because in her household it was acceptable and they knew that? They talk about how they could hear her getting beat, her scream when her grandpa would whoop her. So did they just kind of stay away out of fear? I mean, I wonder these things hearing them talk.
I just want to make sure that,
I just wanted to remark that I need to take a polygraph on what they're saying because there's too much oral perjury.
All right.
Why is she doing that? Like, we absolutely know these things are true. So again, I question her stating that it was all that she was in the lion biz, as she so eloquently put it.
Michel Chauvin recalled an incident with Eileen's grandfather.
I don't know how much you want me to say. He was a bastard.
Do you recall an incident when you and Eileen skipped school?
Yes.
What happened when, did you go to Eileen's house with her?
I walked home with her, and we had gotten caught. And I remember looking through the front. They had a screen door view. And the minute she walked in, he had her over a chair. And I stood there and watched him. And he beat the hell out of her with a black belt that was around his waist. He took it off and told her to lean over the chair and walloped on her for a good 5 minutes.
Was this what you would call a spanking?
Oh, no. No, it was like it left me hypnotized.
Did he know you were watching?
Yeah, he did. He was aware I
The bastard didn't care.
was watching.
I mean, you can see her anger towards the situation even now.
Is that just an example as to?
That's an example. Yes.
I don't mind.
It had been a long week. All the witnesses stuck together in this motel.
Do you think we'd all go mad if we were locked up here much longer together?
Hey, bad girl. I know this is one of her really good friends that's walking with him right now.
Dawn insisted that gays hadn't been invented when she and Eileen first became friends.
They weren't invented or whatever. There was no gay people.
Well, what were they all doing?
They weren't gay. There was no such thing as gay. They were in the closet. No, they weren't.
They were in the closet. There was a such thing as gay, I think. That it just wasn't as socially acceptable, especially not even now, as it is now. Hey, bad girl. Thanks for coming back.
Or there was no such thing. I don't remember a person at school gay. I didn't hear this gay stuff till 10 years ago. Well, maybe 15. It's just now starting to be acceptable. But no, there was not. Was there gay people when you went to school?
I'm sure that there probably were. I went to a British public school. There were many. That's where it was invented. Us and the Greeks, you know?
Yeah, let's talk about the Greeks for a second and them running around naked when they do Olympic style events and them sodomizing each other. I mean, hello. That was what, I don't know, whatever BC, I can't think off the top of my head. So, ma'am, yes, they did. Abellas, stop it. Like Oscar Wilde didn't exist, right? What were they all doing? Being judged by assholes, right? Yeah, Abellas, right? I mean, like I said, it goes back to the ancient Greeks. So it had been invented, ma'am.
Yeah, of course.
I just had to do this, sorry. Look, come on, you guys.
After all.
And the reason I said sodomize is because that's what it's described as. It's not used as that word. It's described as they all had sodomy, but they swang both ways, and that's acceptable. But yeah, the ancient Greeks would definitely be the first time. Actually, Sodom and Gomorrah might be the first time, but I don't know if that came before Greece or after. Anyway, back to this.
All that, Eileen decided to volunteer for execution, and we all went home. Now that Eileen was confessing to being a cold-blooded killer, Eileen found she had a lot of new friends.
Her appeals have been exhausted. She wants to meet her creator. She's on my list, absolutely.
Governor Jeb Bush, was he the first? Was he a president? I think he was.
Jeb Bush is expected to sign Wuronos' warrant soon.
It is as old as humanity, Amy. It absolutely is. And so is being a lady of the night. Bad Girl said that's her bestie, Dawn, who got Lee's ashes. That's sweet. He was a presidential candidate at that time, but was not was not president. He was governor of Florida. Okay. Jeb ran. His brother was president. Okay, I knew it was the George Bushes. Okay, thank you.
We had all come to this as witnesses, hoping to get Alieen off death row, but it now felt like we were taking part in an execution. There was talk of making an appeal on the grounds of Eileen's mental competence. We traveled to Troy, Michigan, where Alieen grew up, to find out more. This is Dawn's house.
Hi, Joan. How are you?
I'm glad they tried to help her due to her mental state, because it obviously was in a bad state of disrepair.
Oh, a lot. My kids just come over with the grandbabies. So we get to see them.
Granddaughter and her grandson.
Aww.
How are you?
Baby.
Dawn gets up and writes to Alieen at 5 a.m. every morning.
I got looking for one thing today. So I figured while I had Eileen's shit out, you can sit here.
For all this.
Yeah, I got lots of pictures of her brothers and stuff like that you might want to look at.
Really?
Well, yeah,
All this?
all this. I was looking for her will. I couldn't find her will.
Her will.
Can you just sit down for a while?
Alieen does the most amazing ink drawings that you can only see against the light.
Because you can't.
This is interesting. I'm excited to see this stuff. I think she lived in England when this aired. Oh wow, she was in Michigan when this interview happened, I think. Oh goodness, Amy, that's interesting.
See him by looking down at him, but it's perfect with the sunlight outside. See how that does that?
Wow. Have you got any pictures of when she was quite young? Oh.
Is that kind of funny?
It is funny, isn't it?
Oh, that's her sister.
That's
That's her graduation.
Laurie.
That's what she looks like now.
There were other photos too. Alieen aged 4. Her brother Keith aged 6. Eileen's biological mother Diane, who abandoned Alieen when she was 6 months old. Eileen's father Leo, who was convicted of kidnapping and sodomizing an 8-year-old boy. He committed suicide in prison.
Those were interesting pictures to see.
Eileen's grandfather Lowry, who she called Dad and is rumored to be Eileen's biological father. He abused both Alieen and her mother. Alieen aged 13 when she got pregnant and had a baby boy that was put out for adoption.
Did y'all see how young she was? Jesus. I don't want to go back that far. We're at 41. So that's her grandpa?
To be Eileen's biological father. He abused both Alieen and her mother. Alieen aged 13 when she got pregnant.
That's crazy. Look at her. Oh my God. She's so young.
And had a baby boy that was put out for adoption. After the baby, Alieen became the local untouchable. She spent 2 years living in the woods at the end of her street.
Amy said, yeah, this whole special was to paint Alieen in a more favorable light. This was the first thing I saw about her. Oh, okay. I hope so. It seems that way.
Alieen used to have a fort back here, as a matter of fact.
Fort?
A fort.
Oh, with Dennis.
Yeah.
Hey. Can y'all see me? Tell me if y'all see me. You see me? Do you hear me? Hold on, we'll pull up something else. It's gonna make me cut all that out. Ugh, I hate when that happens. Yeah, no doubt. Sally can't see me. Okay. Let's see what else I got. Okay. It's going to make me cut all that out. I might just delete this live after we're done. Do-do-do. Oh, no. That's not what I was trying to do. Hold on. Not the one. Not the one. Okay. I had a couple other things. Dang, that sucks. Well, y'all know where to go see that, if you want to see it. Okay, so I got a few more that we can talk about that aren't that long. This is The Fortress from 1 year ago. From 1 year ago. It's titled. Here, we'll try this one first. The Felony Files. Alieen volunteered for execution. But again, we just saw her mental. I got the music on, I think. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, that makes me question whether I'm on. Oh, duh. I hadn't shared the screen. Y'all couldn't see. Can you see it? What is it doing? Let me make sure my music's playing. Don't. Yeah, it's playing. Okay. We're going to try this. Hopefully they won't be a butt. This is from the Felony Files. It's titled Alieen Wuronos Volunteers for Execution. See, let me know if I go away again. Hey, content. I might go away, so if I do come back.
And I was Alieen Wuronos' attorney while she was on death row.
Okay, am I still here? I think I am. This is fair use, by the way. Just let me put that out into the atmosphere. Okay. Okay. So we'll go ahead with this.
Challenge in representing Alieen. I mean, normally in my job, I'd have one guy and one murder and one death sentence. With Alieen, I had 7 of them. So we tried to argue that Mr. Glacier was ineffective, that proper mitigation evidence wasn't granted, that her childhood wasn't properly brought.
I think that they had grounds for a mistrial for sure.
Before a jury or a judge who sentenced her to death. The attention, you had to take into factor it's going to affect the judge who might rule on emotions. You know, there's the court.
Don't go away, Matt. Just go away. Oh, no, goodness.
Public opinion, and you always have to combat a unfavorable media narrative.
Oh, wow. Did y'all see her flip everybody off? Hey, content. Now that you can hear me, hey.
I've been in a lot of death rows over the years, and it is horrific. You're in the cell 23 hours a day.
Oh, do y'all think that contributed to her mental state at the end? Being in, you know, the prison conditions. I think some of you said that y'all did feel that way.
After several years on death row, Alieen...
I wonder if this is a case of like schizophrenia type thing or a side effect of one of her diagnoses, or if it was really happening. Again, tells us her mental state is not right. Or making sure I was still on.
The appeals process continues for many years, which is common in a capital murder case, but no one anticipates the surprising twist to come.
It was 2001. Alieen had been on death row for about 8 years.
I'm just checking to make sure my numbers didn't go away.
Suddenly, she's back in.
Again, her mental state at the time. I mean, I don't think that. I think that they should not have listened to any of this, considering her mental state at the time.
Volunteered to die.
Bella said, would anyone be surprised if she had episodes of mental illness? Jesus, right? She wanted to leave this life. I think so.
Who's just done? She said, I have no chance for any.
See, that's ridiculous. Again. Amy said she was in so much pain and honestly, there wasn't anything anyone could do for her. Plea for habeas corpus. That girl said Lee had pure rage inside her and I understand why she does. Yeah.
Being housed in the prison system. So that's how I got involved with the case. I'm Raj Singhal. I represented Alieen Wuronos in 2002 after she was placed on death row. What Alieen Wuronos wanted was to be executed as soon as...
I mean, I know, I've heard of women being raped by prison guards on death row or in any prison. I mean, hell, we're talking about it now with the case of the judge, the sheriff who shot the judge. So I don't find it surprising.
Then it was evidence of delusional behavior, which means that Alieen Wuronos wasn't competent to be executed.
Let me pause that before I get in trouble again. I don't think she was competent enough to be executed. This is journalist uncovers shocking new evidence.
In the summer of 1992, as Alieen faces multiple death sentences, investigative journalist Michelle Gillen begins to question.
So it said journalist uncovers shocking new evidence in Alieen Wuronos' case, and this is from Felony Files. All right, y'all. They keep kicking me. No, I'm not suspended, but they keep kicking me because of the music in the background or something. I'm playing music in the background, but they keep kicking me. So I'm going to end this live. I don't know if you can hear me, but let me know if you can hear me, and I'll probably just delete it. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm here? I'm just going to end it. So, yeah, I'm going to end this live. I'll probably end up deleting it. We'll see. I'll see if they make me cut out a bunch of it, but I'm going to end it. I will play this song since y'all are here. I'm trying to get this video out, but I've got to figure out how to use CapCut because like I export the video and it's not showing up on my phone and I keep trying to upload it to YouTube and it won't upload. So it's really irritating me. So I'm going to get with some people and try to figure that out. If it makes me cut out a bunch of stuff, then I'm just going to delete this live. But I am going to do my best to set that to premiere tomorrow at 1:30 when I would go live normally. And I will be back Thursday and we will talk about something else. If y'all want to watch those videos on Alieen, they are on YouTube, so you can find them there. Thank you guys for being here today. I really appreciate it, and I'm sorry that we had issues. They kind of got stuck on me for a minute, evidently, so I'm just not even going to try anymore because I don't have any of my own yet. I have submitted a FOIA request, but they haven't got back to me yet, so until I get that, I'm just going to have to stop. Aw. And hey, Natasha, thank you for being here. I'm going to try to keep it on so that you can watch it. Hopefully, they'll let it stay up. If it disappears, then they didn't let it stay up. All right, I'll see you guys Thursday. And yeah, that video should be out tomorrow as long as I can get it out. I'll play the outro song. And thank y'all for being here. And I love y'all. Have the best day ever. And I hope tomorrow's good for you guys too. Bye.